So, good evening. Welcome along to the first ever Soul Confidence Hangout on Google Hangouts. So, I do expect there to be quite a few little technical surprises along the way. So, just bear with me while we have our first go of this together. So for anybody that I haven't met yet, my name's Cara and I founded Soul Confidence a few years ago. And the reason I wanted to do this Google Hangout was really to share some tips and techniques that I've learned with you all, and to give you guys some really practical tools that you can start using yourself. I also will talk a bit about Soul Confidence and the other programs that I run as well. And at the end, I'm going to open it up for a Q&A session as well. So, what I think is always a good way to start, how I always like to start working with clients, is before we do anything, is to do a bit of a breathing exercise so that we can let go of the day we've had today and we can just get really present and really focused. So I just invite you to put down anything that you have, hands, and if you've got any other technology on, maybe just put that on silent. Close down any windows of anything else that you have open, just so you can be really present and focused on what we're doing. I just ask you to close your eyes. Lovely. And just take a moment or two to find a really comfortable position to sit in. So just take a moment or two to really center yourself, put your feet down flat on the ground, draw your shoulders down away from your ears, just allow your eyes to gently close. Okay. And you can start off by drawing a deep breath in through your nose, and then just breathe out gently through your mouth. So just drawing a nice deep breath in through your nose, closing your eyes, exhale, sighing the breath out. Just allow the breath to be long and smooth as you breathe out through your mouth. And then just feel that for a moment or two, you can just focus on your breath. So just allowing all your awareness to rest on your breath. So as you breathe in through your nose, just be aware of the sensations of the breath, the cool air as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, just noticing the warm air as you breathe out. And just give yourself a couple of moments just to be aware of how you're breathing. Just notice the rhythm of your breath. And just notice the next time you breathe in, that you can breathe in all the way down to the bottom of your lungs. You can allow the breath to move into your belly. And as you breathe out, just notice if there's anywhere else that you can release a bit of tension. So maybe you can relax your jaw or your shoulders or your hands. And just know it's absolutely fine for thoughts and feelings to come up for you. Don't try and fight these or push these away. Just allow them to be there. And each time, just go back to watching your breath. Lovely. And then just become aware again of the sensation of your feet in contact with the ground. Just be aware of the crown of your head reaching towards the sky. And with each breath, just notice the softness and the ease in your body, especially as you breathe out. Just notice how you can just get a little bit more of a sense of relaxation each time you breathe out. And then when you're ready, just allow your eyes to open. and just come back into the here and now. Okay, lovely. So for anybody new that's just joined us, please feel free to ask any questions as we go through the Hangout. And if you want to mute yourself just now, you can mute yourself on the microphone just at the top middle part of your screen. And then if you want to ask some questions at the end, you can unmute yourself. Okay, cool. Lovely. So the aim of this session really is to find some practical tools to help us deal with the mind chatter. So when I talk about the mind chatter, I mean that voice that we all have, the voice that we have in our consciousness, pretty much 99% of our waking existence. And this voice might take on quite a few different forms for you. It generally, for me, is a kind of a list of things that I should do, that I should say, that I should be feeling. And it's really a very usually quite a negative negative stream of thoughts that are coming up for us through this mind chatter. So what I just want to invite you to do is just to take a moment to think back to the day you've had today, and just to note if there's anything that came up for you today. So if you know what your mind chatter says to you, if you know the kind of thoughts and feelings that the mind chatter brings up for you. So perhaps there's an overriding statement, something like, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not that enough. What does your mind chatter say to you? So I just want you to take a moment to think about that. And if you're not quite aware of that yet, that's fine. But just think about what it is that you find yourself saying to yourself quite frequently. And I would just at this point invite you to unmute your microphone if you want to sort of share what your mind chatter, what you've observed about your mind chatter as a way of kind of sharing. Please feel free to do that. Michelle, my lovely.
Sorry, what?
Sorry, hon, were you going to join in there?
Sorry, no, sorry, what were you?
Okay.
I'm distracted.
No problems. So, yeah, do you want to share?
That mind chatter?
Yeah, is there something particular that you notice with your mind chatter?
I think my mind chatter is the most critical voice I ever hear.
Yeah.
It likes to big things up beyond absolute ridiculous comprehension, and you know the earth is just about to end when anything goes wrong, and my mind chatter is very dramatic.
Yeah, yeah.
Very critical.
Very critical.
Yeah.
Michelle, do you find are there particular times that comes up more for you? Do you notice particular times that you're more aware of it?
Yeah, it's when I'm feeling particularly upset or depressed. Yeah. At those times, instead of being able to talk to you about it, I think your mind chatter decides to when you overdrive it, think, oh goody, feeling that way out, I shall make it even worse.
Absolutely, and I definitely can resonate with that. I think we all can. The times that we tend to really hear that mind chatter the most is when we are feeling particularly low.
Yeah.
And when perhaps, you know, things like we haven't been looking after ourselves, we've burnt ourselves out, we're feeling a sense of overwhelm or frustration with certain situations, and that does tend to be when the mind chatter really goes for it. Yeah. When our ego really tries to sort of pull us or keep us in a certain place. So it's really good to be aware of what your mind chatter is saying to you, and of the times in particular it seems to come into play more, so that you can start, because as soon as we're aware, it's as soon as we're aware of something, whatever that is, we can start to make some positive changes about it and to deal with it. So for me, when I started working with these tools and techniques for soul confidence, which was working on it for myself, which was putting them all together for myself, during a very negative period in my life, it was a practice, because I didn't realise actually how negative I was about myself until I started to really listen. And for some reason, for me, it was always in the shower. The shower seemed to be the place that it really came into my head, and I could hear this list of things that I needed to do that I should have done by now that I hadn't done, list of things that I should be saying that I'm not saying, and a very negative, very down, very down on myself, kind of like tirade of comments. And so as soon as I was aware of it, I started to be able to do something about it. And I think one of the key things, once you're aware of it, is to definitely find a set of tools to counter that. And it's not ever about ignoring or pretending things aren't there. It's about finding really positive tools to deal with it. And one way is definitely through setting intentions or affirmations. And another way is definitely through having your own practice where you can create stillness in your life so that you're able to have a sense of presence. Because when we bring ourselves into the here and now and we're present, we give ourselves time, one, for our mind to be able to clear to an extent, but to be able to take on new patterns of behaviour, and to be able to kind of really find positive ways to move forwards. So that is definitely something that I want to share with you guys, and that is about how you can use really simple techniques and incorporate that into your day-to-day life. So the thing that we started with today, we started with a grounding exercise, and that is a fantastic way to get present. So whenever you feel a sense of overwhelm, where that mind chatter is really starting to kick in, it's actually giving yourself permission to say, okay, I'm going to give myself a 2-minute break from this, and I'm going to sit, get myself comfortable, and I'm going to just focus in on my breathing. Because as soon as you start to focus in on one thing, something as simple and fundamental as your breath, you give yourself the opportunity to get a lot more clarity and a lot more space within your whole being, really, and then you can start to find different ways. So we know when we're in that situation where we're feeling overwhelmed, and we're feeling really attached to a lot of negative emotions, it's very hard when we're in that exact space to make positive changes. So we need to create space away from whatever negative attachments we're experiencing in order to make those positive changes and those positive choices. So I'm just going to invite you right now. I want to talk you through another technique that is really good to use for creating space through away from the mind chatter. So I'm just going to invite you again to just close your eyes. Okay, and again, just to get really comfortable where you are, where you're sitting. And I'm going to ask you to think about a time recently when you were aware of the mind chatter. Okay, so think of a time, perhaps there's been something stressful that's happened. I'm not going to invite you to sort of relive it, but just want you to think if there's been a time, maybe over the last few days or last week, where you felt particularly stressed. I'm just going to ask you to take a moment to think back to that time and what it was you were saying to yourself. So when we're our own worst critic, what words were you using towards yourself? What were you sort of feeling towards yourself? And I want you just to take a moment while you're in that space to just look and see if that's coming up in a certain area of your body as well. So just check in and notice as you're experiencing that feeling of of hearing that negative voice, the inner critic, where in your body is that manifesting? So do you notice that you're suddenly feeling a bit of tension, a bit of stress around your neck, your shoulders? Do you feel a sense of tightness maybe in your chest, in you maybe in your hands and your wrists? And just take a moment just to consider where that is. And as you take a breath in, I want you to reconnect with that breath we used earlier. So when we breathe in, breathing in and taking the breath all the way down to the bottom of the lungs. And as you breathe out, just feel you can draw your belly button close in towards your spine. So you're hollowing out your belly towards the end of each out breath. So it's a really lovely full in breath and out breath. And as you next breathe out, I want you to feel that you can breathe out into that area of tension that you're experiencing. So if you felt like you were experiencing tension in your neck, in your shoulders, as you breathe out, I want you to feel you can take the breath into that area and breathe out into that space. And just keep your focus on this. So as you breathe in, nice full deep breath in, exhale, just feel that you're breathing out tension in that area, and just feel that area of tension just relaxing and releasing a little further. And then very gently, just start to become aware of your natural rhythm of breath again. And then when you're ready, just gently open your eyes. So what I did there is just a really simple exercise, and obviously you can do that in your own time for a much longer period of time. But I tend to find when I work with clients that they really find that technique is very useful, because what happens is as we accumulate negative emotions and attachments within our mind, that manifests itself through our body. So you'll tend to notice that as you become more aware of the negative mind chatter, the inner critic, when that kicks in for you, there will be an area of tension in your body that's associated with that attachment. And the more we can work to acknowledge and accept what's coming up in our mind, we can also find ways to get rid of the physical attachments that we're experiencing as well. So generally that is through holding stress and tension in various parts of our body. So I just ask you to, maybe if you already journal, maybe take some time over the next week or two to start to notice when the mind chatter comes up for you, what it is saying to you. Okay, and then start to take some time to do that exercise, to notice where it's manifesting in your body, and to feel that you can use your breath to start to release some of that tension. And what I'd also do is just ask you to journal how that works for you, so that you can start to notice if there's any differences. And also, really, really importantly, with any of this work, is that you have to be kind to yourself, okay? So it's very, very important, if you want to use this tool and this technique and you're going to journal about it, that you really acknowledge and appreciate yourself for going through this process. So if we start to beat ourselves up even more for going, oh my God, I had about 100 times that I noticed that I'm beating myself up, my God, I'm such a terrible person for this, that's really counterintuitive. So actually it's about going, do you know what, I'm really pleased that I noticed that I'm saying this to myself, or I really appreciate that I'm experiencing this right now, because it means I can do something about it and I can make some really positive changes. So I would start to, as I say, invite you to try this out for the next week or two. And I'd also invite you to do that grounding exercise, which is just a really simple breathing exercise at a time during the day that works for you. So it's not about suddenly going, oh my God, I've got to do an hour of breathing and meditation every day. It's about saying, where can I find a way to fit this in so that I can start to build up a practice. And I think that even just doing 5 minutes of really simple breathing awareness, that can make an immense difference to you. Now, personally, I like to do my practice in the morning because that really works for me. But for you, it might be that you prefer to do it in the evening. Or it might be for you that that exercise works really well when you are in that sense of overwhelm, you're having a really busy day, and you just want to take a few minutes out of that to get away from the mind chatter, to move away from the negative effects. So if you start to notice patterns of behaviour through your day, like you're reacting in a certain way quite frequently, and it's a way that you don't want to react to, try that breathing exercise as a way to choose a different response. Because when we know we are able to choose, we're able to make a much more positive decision about how we're going to respond to a situation. Okay, so does that? I hope that makes sense. If anybody has any questions, please, as I say, feel free to just go to the left-hand side and type in a question, or if you want to unmute your microphone, unmute your microphone and just ask away. So feel free to do that right now.
Hi, Cara.
Hello, my lovely lady.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I came in and I was a bit distracted. I wasn't sure what I was doing, to be honest.
Oh, well, you're here, which is fantastic. So it's awesome to see you.
Yes, you too. I have a question about holding tension in my body, and but for the last 2 days actually, I haven't felt very good, which hasn't happened for a while. I've had a sharp shooting pain on the right side of my body. It feels as if it's under my rib. I've booked an appointment to go and see the doctor tomorrow, but if there's other things that I can do, I'd much prefer to deal with it in my own way. And what you said about breathing and kind of sabotage and overwhelm really resonated with me.
Have you been experiencing quite a bit of overwhelm recently, Emma?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And actually, I was talking to Michelle about it maybe near on a week ago now, that I'd really stepped up, if you like, and stepped out and increased my visibility in a way. And I do recognise that each time I seem to do more of that, something happens. And I guess it's a kind of self-sabotage in a way. That's what I'm recognising it as.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really important distinction to notice, and definitely our ego, Emma, plays such a massive part whenever we're stepping up and we're being visible, and the mind-body connection is so closely interlinked that whenever we're starting to feel any kind of sense of negativity, there is a strong chance that it'll manifest itself physically in our body as well. So what I'd say is it's brilliant that you booked an appointment with a doctor, because I totally wholeheartedly believe that what we do holistically also goes hand in hand with being sensible, and also checking things out with the doctors as well, which is really important. But I would definitely welcome you, Emma, this evening to look at that exercise that we did there when we were breathing out into that area of tension, and just work with that for a little while. So you know, it might be for you that I think you're quite a visual person from what I know of you, so it might be that you like to visualize that area, so as you breathe out you can see that area in your mind and just experience the sense of your breath moving there and allowing a sense of relaxation to happen. Because of that, and just maybe starting off with an intention to say, you know, I'm setting myself an intention that I want to work with my mind, body, and breath, just to let go of any negativity that might have manifested itself in my body. I'm going to give myself permission to let that go and use that breathing technique and see how you get on with it.
Great.
Lovely. Thank you, Emma. Thank you so much for sharing. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you, lovely.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Anybody else want to just ask a question around that exercise or around anything else to do with the mind chatter and the ego? Well, the ego, we could be here for quite a long time talking about, but yeah, please do feel free to jump in.
I find the hard thing is remembering to do it.
Hello, Max.
Hi, Cora.
Hi. Okay, so yeah,
I just find
remembering
it's
to do
hard
it.
to
Yeah.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Max. So for anybody else that's just on the Hangout just now, if you want to just click on your mute button, that would be fab. Just while speak to Max about this. So Max, just tell me what you mean about remembering to do it. I think I know what you mean, but
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm learning how to do it a bit better now because I've been doing self-confidence for a while. But what I find is, if I take time out to do it, I can remember to do it. When I'm in the moment, it's much harder, and I find myself going for hours, completely forgetting about it. And it's just, I kind of almost need a trigger for myself to say, you know, you're doing it again, you're holding tension or whatever. I think I just live in my head so much most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely, which we all do, right? Like that's definitely a 21st century condition. We do definitely live in our heads. So Mags, I love what you just shared there, because I was actually speaking to somebody this week about it and about how we really want our practice to be preventative rather than cure. So we want to do it as a way to prevent this happening, but at the same time, we have to be realistic, and life does happen, and we do get busy. Yeah. So what I suggest you do, which is something that I've had a couple of clients do, and that is I get them to set up reminders on their phone, so that they get alerted. And I did it for the first sort of year of my practice to make sure that I was certain things that I really wanted to work on. And I did that. So I say, you use your smartphone, use your iPhone, and set up an alert, and it might just be something like a schedule at 2 o'clock to say, do your breathing exercise.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I definitely would encourage you to use any kind of, whatever works for you. I mean, sometimes for me, something as simple as having a post-it note on my computer screen will do it for me. But I have found that actually worked with clients is to have a kind of a regular alert on their phone.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely. So yeah, that was really great. I'm really glad that Mags brought that up, and I just kind of want to sort of bring it together now to talk about why having our own practice is so important. And I'm going to be doing a few more of these Google Hangouts and sharing more tips and techniques and looking at different parts of soul confidence. But it does come down to us having a practice that really works for us, having a practice that creates time, space, and clarity in our lives. And we know that when we give ourselves that time and space, we're so much more creative, we're so much more productive, we're so much more present, we enjoy our lives so much more, we are able to receive so much more, give so much more. So we do want we do want to have a practice that is, like I say, it's preventative rather than cure. So we're not doing it because because we're at that stage of burnout. We're doing it because we know it's going to give ourselves that time and space that allows us to be creative, to be loving, to be productive, whatever it is, to feel that sense of peace. And so many of my clients, when they come and work with me, it's that sense of peace and inner happiness that they want to generate for themselves. And that is why they're at a stage when they're like, I need to do something about this because I'm not feeling this right now in my life and I really want to. And soul confidence is all about really practical tools and techniques that allow you to build up that practice for yourself. So what Mags has just done recently is she's just completing the 21 days to starting soul confidence program. And the reason I designed this was because I had loads of people saying to me, I know I want to have my own practice, but I don't know how to go about doing it. I'm not very disciplined. I need to be accountable. I don't know where to start. And the 21-day program works over, obviously, 21 days. You get an email video every day to your inbox that gives you a tool from the Soul Confidence program that you then use that day. And then over the next 21 days, you build up that toolbox and you have the chance to try them out, see what works for you, journal what is working for you, notice the physical changes, notice the emotional changes and the mental changes that are happening to you, so that as you come towards the end of that 21 days, you've got a series of tools and techniques that are going to really work for you. So if that's something that interests you, I would totally welcome you to get in touch with me after this hangout. You can find me on Facebook. You can send me an email to cara.soulconfidence@gmail.com, and then we can talk about how you can get started with the 21-day program. So it is, as I say, it's very much about putting yourself at the heart of your life and saying, what do I want to experience? What do I want to feel in my life now? Not 10 years down the line, not when I've done this, not when this has happened. What do I want to feel right now? And what practical tools and techniques can I use to help me get that? And for me, from my experience, when you work with your mind, body and your breath together, when you link the three together, as we should be because we are a holistic being, that is when you're then able to really move forward in your life. Okay, does anybody have any questions about that? Lovely. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Sorry, Emma. Did you say something, hon?
No. I. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I thought I was on mute. I'll learn how to use. I'll learn how to use this Google Hangout.
Yeah. Do you know what? Once you've done it a couple of times, it's totally cool. It's just I know the first time I used it, I was like, what is this? But yeah, no, I'm really pleased to have you guys along with me. So yeah, if you've got any questions after the hangout today, please do get in touch. I'd really love you to try out some of the things that we've been talking about today. As I say, if you think the 21-day program is for you, just get in touch with me. I'd love to have a chat with you a bit further, and I'll be sharing more, as I say, through the mini series of hangouts that I'm going to do. So I just welcome you. If you've got anything specific you'd like to talk about, get in touch. I really am so keen to share the value of what I've experienced through Soul Confidence and what my clients are experiencing with as many people as possible. So do get in touch if you have any questions at all. Okay, lovely, great. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for joining me on my first ever hangout. I know it wasn't smooth sailing all the way through, but it was really lovely to have you along, and I'll post details about the next hangout very soon. Okay, lovely. All right, well, have a great evening, everybody. All right, lovely ladies. Take care. All right, see you soon. Bye.